and welcome to Nonwovens Talks, an EDANA-produced series that shines the sustainability spotlight on the nonwovens industry. I'm your host, Sean Kerrigan, Director of Communications and Media Relations here at EDANA. Over the course of 5 episodes, we'll sit down with some of the leading players in our sector to discuss how they are addressing such critical issues as sustainability and circularity. We'll also discover some of the many innovative, forward-looking applications coming out of the industry and learn how these applications are putting nonwovens at the forefront of sustainability. In today's episode, we talk with 2 companies with substantial experience in the fields of nonwovens, sustainability and circularity. Our first guest is Mette. She is the Quality Assurance and Sustainability Director at Fibertex Personal Care, a company producing nonwoven and printed nonwovens for the hygiene industry. Hello Mette and welcome, thanks for joining. Perhaps we'll start with you introducing yourself and your company.
My name is Mette. I work in a company called Fibertex Personal Care with headquarters in Denmark. We have production in Malaysia, the US and in Germany as well. We produce nonwovens and printed nonwovens for the hygiene industry. My role is Quality Assurance and Sustainability Director, and I've been with the company for a little over 20 years.
Excellent. Thanks for taking the time to join us. We've seen here at Index today on many of the stands quite a focus on sustainability and innovation to enable it, and circularity approaches to product design, recycling initiatives. I wonder perhaps if you could speak a little bit to Fibertex's own initiatives in this area.
Yeah, actually Fibertex Personal Care has a very long history of working with sustainability. We are a Scandinavian-based company, so obviously we have had the green agenda for many, many years, long before anybody called it sustainability. So we have a very long history of saving resources, saving on energy, working with safe chemicals, down-gauging materials. All of these initiatives has been on our agenda for a long, long time. But obviously we have changed our agenda during the last few years, I would say, to give it a little bit more of a holistic approach, where we also look at all other aspects of sustainability, including the social aspects as an example.
Okay, very interesting. And are there specific initiatives or product applications that demonstrate this, that are recent Fibertex initiatives?
Actually, one of the most recent initiatives was actually that we are the first nonwoven producer in the world to become ISCC Plus certified, meaning that we can provide nonwovens that has this ISCC Plus certification, where we buy certificates of sustainable polymers, and we ensure by mass balance principle that we don't sell more certificate than what we have purchased in the beginning.
Excellent, sounds very interesting. I'll have to learn more. And where do you see your next challenges in the sustainability arena? Where's your next area of focus?
I would say the next area of focus is definitely on the CO2 accounting. We get a lot of requests for CO2 accounting, focusing on our own energy consumption, but also on the raw materials side, our resource consumption, our transportation activities and so on, where we have worked a lot already to optimize transportation patterns, starting to use more railway, using more ship transport of resins as an example. But we have also done a lot to save on our energy. We have been energy management certified for 5 years now, and this has really shown us that with a lot of dedicated focus you can actually do a lot of rebuilding on your lines and achieve very nice energy savings.
Excellent, well done on these initiatives. I look forward to learning more. Thanks again for your time, and good luck with the rest of your initiatives and the rest of the show.
Thank you.
Excellent, thanks. Very interesting there to learn about Fibertex Personal Care's impressive history on sustainable actions, and congratulations on being the first nonwovens company to become ISCC Plus certified. Our second guest is Bruno de Wilde, Laboratory Manager at Organic Waste Systems, or OWS. OWS is a testing company with over 30 years of experience testing the biodegradability and compostability of materials and products. When you thanks for joining us, and many thanks for presenting here today. In fact, perhaps you could introduce yourself, OWS, and the outline of your presentation.
Okay, thank you. It's also a pleasure for me to be here, and thank you for the invitation. So OWS, which stands for Organic Waste Systems, is a testing company. So we are a contract research laboratory offering various services, and the most important service is biodegradability and compostability testing of materials and products, which we are doing for already 30 years. So much before it became really in the press, and that it is receiving a lot of attention. We are doing it for already many years, and we've tested thousands and thousands of products for many hundreds of customers. So we have quite some experience in the testing. And I'm the laboratory manager at OWS, which in the meantime is a team of about 50 people working on biodegradation testing. So we have quite some experience. We are also very active in standardization. So we participate to standardization committees like ISO, CEN in Europe, ASTM in the US, because we have a daughter company in the US. We are very much involved, and as a matter of fact, I'm recognized also as an expert for circular plastic economy by the European Commission.
Really quite interesting. If for the people who don't manage to catch the presentation itself, what are the key messages to the nonwovens industry audience that you're bringing today? Where do you see the most immediate challenges, and what can OWS do to help our members in their move towards more circularity?
So my presentation is on marine biodegradation, and so that will be the focus. But at the same time, I want to bring some clarity in several misunderstandings which exist with regard to biodegradation and also to marine biodegradation, and which I hope to clarify in my presentation. So one of the messages is that biodegradation can be different from one environment to the other environment. So you really, when you talk about biodegradability, you should do so while immediately also specifying the environment in which the biodegradability is supposed to take place. That's one thing. And then also what we start to see more and more, and I think it is interesting for the nonwovens industry, is that the distinction should be made between products which need to be readily biodegradability, which have a short functional life and which should be relatively quickly biodegradable, and they are getting the most attention, or they are getting almost exclusively the attention nowadays. But we see also many applications where biodegradation has to be seen on medium term or long term, more like being non-persistent, that materials are non-persistent. Think of microfibers of textile, for example. They end up in freshwater, in the wastewater, they end up in the seas. But of course, textile fibers should not be quickly biodegradable because they have a long functional life. So that distinction should also be made. Applications where you need ready biodegradability, which are mostly linked to a short functional life, and other applications with a long functional life, which you don't want to be persistent and which should therefore be biodegradable in the medium or long term. And developments are going on in that direction, and they are very interesting. And I'm pretty sure that will be the future, to be honest. And another point which I also want to touch in my presentation is about communication. There are some applications where biodegradability would really be a good asset, but which should not be communicated about. And then I think, for example, cigarette filters. Cigarette filters, of course, a big nuisance. Companies are doing a lot of research on developing biodegradable cigarette filters, which would be very useful. But then this should be a characteristic which is for, let's say, B2B communication, or B2A, if that exists, that's a business to authorities, that you communicate with authorities. Okay, we have cigarette filters which are biodegradable, but don't mention it into the public, to the consumers, because otherwise they will throw their butts even more away than they are doing now. So, because biodegradability may never be a license to litter. There we must be very clear. Biodegradability is no license to litter. So therefore communication has to be done very carefully. And for some application should be basically no communication. The characteristics should be there, but kind of silent, so it will not give a problem in nature, but we don't talk about it because we don't want to promote littering.
Truly interesting. Just upon the point on communication, and indeed the perception amongst consumers and the general public, and an understandable lack of knowledge around these, are you seeing a drive towards alignment on how consumers are informed or communicated to about this challenge?
It is improving, that is for sure. I think, for example, that biodegradability can only be claimed when also the environment is specified. This also the European Commission is on the same line. So we see it's a learning process. It's a learning curve. So we are learning. This whole discussion started in the 90s, so it's not that old, and we see clearly an improvement. But it needs attention. It needs attention, but work is being done. I think, for example, the European Commission is requiring standards. They know, no, I think this is going in the good direction.
Good to hear. And I think a nice concluding point. Bruno de Wilde, thank you very much. Looking forward to your presentation.
You're welcome, thank you. Bye.
Clearly, we can now say that the issue of how to communicate about sustainability is a topic that is close to home, and of course is one of the goals of the Nonwovens Talk series. One of the key takeaways, I think, from today's interviews is that when it comes to sustainability and circularity, the nonwovens industry is being very proactive. Clearly, many companies are taking specific actions towards more sustainable production, reducing waste, and increasing the use of recycled products. And I'm looking forward to hearing more about these initiatives in our upcoming episodes. Thanks for joining us as we shine the sustainability spotlight on the nonwovens industry. See you next time.